Are we both like, are we matched up, our heads?
Daniel, move up a little more, like towards the wall.
Towards which wall? This one?
Towards your feet, like that way. Or no, yeah.
Shout out to Jukene's Jump.
Sorry, you're gonna have to get a little more comfortable.
Anytime, I always remind this things on like anything so I can like.
Is that good?
I'll shout her out.
Yeah, you guys are perfect.
Alright. Mignotae, kebede.
Yeah.
Is that how you say your name?
That's about. That's really close.
You say
even
like with
no.
give me the full accent and everything.
Genuine, as embarrassing as this is, I don't even think I can properly say my name with the full accent.
That's his first generation problem.
Like, it's hard because when I say like mignote, like without the te part, I can say it the right way. But when I add the a, it messes it up for some reason.
So there's an a at the end for sure? Or is this...
Yeah, so mignote means like strong wish or desire, like, and then whenever you add like that a in Amharic, it's adding like the my part of it. So like
it comes at the end.
Yeah. So like my wish or my desire would be.
Are you your parents' wish and desire? Have they always loved you?
I hope so. Yes. Well, actually, fun fact. My dad is the oldest of 11 brothers, or 12.
What?
Of 12.
Why are Africans so busy, man?
Always.
Like my parents were the same way, and they have too many siblings.
Too many.
But your dad is.
I think they just kept trying for a girl. There's 12 of them.
Jesus.
And my dad's the oldest. And then basically they had a boy first, and they had another boy, and then they thought the same thing was gonna happen.
Are there twins in there at all, or?
Nope. 12.
Just 12, just
back
straight,
to back.
straight up.
Yep. My dad's
one at a time.
21 years older than the youngest one.
What? Single file line.
Yep.
They can have a basketball squad.
They literally can. So then, when I was born, my mom had a list of names, and my dad named me because they thought that, it was the same thing. Like the family had wanted a girl for a minute.
So you're just the saving grace of the whole.
Yeah, but then I was like a tomboy for like the majority of my life. I think
So how many, what were some of the names teachers came up with as a kid?
Oh my God. Jesus.
Because I don't know if people understand, your name it's like filet mignon at the same time.
So my dad, embarrassingly, always, every time we would register for school or I would be transferring schools or whatever, he'd always say, it's like filet mignon. But yeah,
Then spell it out. How do you spell it? Well, they're going to see it on the thing anyway.
But the G and the N make them, it's mignotae. But my legal name, actually, as many immigrant parents have done, misspell your child's name on the birth certificate.
It's wrong?
Yeah, so on my birth certificate, it's mignote. And then on everything else, it's
what happened? Were they just so happy and filled with joy that they just...
Something. I don't know. They literally, I think they just later this would be a better spelling of the name.
There's no autocorrect thing.
No. No.
So what's the craziest you've heard growing up? How do teachers pronounce it? So I got a lot of nicknames. The mignotae was genuinely mignotae was probably the most common. The AE, they think it's tie. And then or mignotae. Mignotae?
Yeah.
Wait, is there an O after the N?
Yeah, there's an O after the N. And then once they found out the G, because you want to say the G is silent, but it's really not silent.
No, it's just you gotta say it has a little twang to it.
Exactly.
It has its own character.
But when they hear that it's silent, then they just go mignotae. So that was also elementary school. Most teachers called me mignotae, which is so ugly.
What is the root of the name? Do you know where it's from?
Like what?
Amharic?
Yeah, it's Amharic. And then, so I'm assuming it's Amharic.
I didn't know they like, with your name brought new life. I didn't know they put, letters together like that.
Well, so our character, like, because the Amharic alphabet goes by, it's like syllables. So it's like different sounds. So essentially you can spell any, like, in English, like you have to kind of like get creative with spelling things, trying to make it phonetic. With Amharic, every sound has a character. So there's literally like, my name is only 3 characters in Amharic.
So what are the things where you remember when you were learning words and stuff and you clapped to like every pause?
Yeah.
What is that called again?
Syllables.
So you have 3 of those.
Yeah, I have 3 of those. So like meh.
I'm mad you're really doing it. Right.
Literally, it's like meh, yo, hey.
There you go.
So the yo is 1, and the te is 1, and the meh is 1. I don't know why I chose that order to say it, but.
Well, so then, how was that growing up for you? Was it, were you taught to correct people about your name, or you just let them rock it? Like, what was the expiration date before you were like, no, I actually...
Probably, honestly speaking, college maybe. Because like, so in high school, well, in people just call me nicknames for the most part. Like in elementary school, my nickname was Minnie. To the point where like, if you look at my homework assignments,
Minnie?
It was written like first name Minnie, last name Kebede, which is so ugly. And then in high school, my nickname was Mig, and that carried over to college.
It's still Peach still.
Yeah, so people still call me Mig.
Mignotae.
Mignotae actually came when I got accepted to GW. Sam, you know Sam?
I don't know.
He's like one of my brother's friends. Like.
Oh wait.
You definitely met him.
Is he one of the roommates?
No, he's Ethiopian. He lives in DC right now, but.
Okay.
You've definitely crossed paths.
I feel like I have.
When he found out.
I don't remember Sam.
He literally was, when he found out that I got in there, he was like, okay, I see you, Mignotae, and that's where the nickname came from. And it stuck.
And so, but you weren't the type to be like, nah, actually, my name is
correct.
Military.
I would definitely give if they mispronounce it on the first try, I definitely would correct it. And you know how people are. They don't necessarily, but a lot of people, I think more recently attention has been drawn to putting effort into pronounce people's names correctly. Yeah. But growing up, like most of them would just be like, oh, I'm not going to get that. So do you have a nickname?
Yeah.
And at that point I was just like, sure. But my job actually, my last job, they were very adamant on pronouncing their names right. Yeah, so they didn't even call me Meg.
Yeah. So you grew up in Orange County your whole life? I mean, most of it?
Yep.
Where were you born?
Wait, what hospital they born? I was born in St. Jude's, but I was born and raised in Anaheim.
Born and raised in Anaheim?
Yeah, like on the border of Anaheim and Yorba Linda.
And so, are you actually Peach's cousin, or are you guys family friends? You know how Africans are. Everybody's cousin, everybody's uncle, everybody's auntie. There might be other cultures too, but that's just one.
No, definitely. We are not. We don't have any blood relations.
Really?
No. But we...
So when did you guys meet then?
I don't know.
Since the womb to the tomb?
Our parents knew each other, so I don't know.
Before you guys were born?
I believe so. I know, so Dee Dee is cousins with her.
Oh, for sure.
And so all of our parents knew each other. I don't know. Our earliest memories, I see pictures and that's what I remember.
Really?
But, then we had our East Side days together.
East Side?
That's elementary school. In Fullerton.
How was that? Were you guys in the same grade?
No, Peachy's a year older. She's a grade older, but not a year older. Had to fit that in. She's the fall baby, so she got bumped.
I'm the same way. I was I'm supposed to be Do you even go? Do you still call them grades, or you say like?
I think you call them grades still up until college. I think it's because you say year in college, but you say grades.
Then you get into the 13th grade and the 14th. So she's a grade younger.
She's a grade older. Yeah, a grade.
You guys hang out on the
playground. Did we? I think so. I remember one time I got
the cold shoulder. Was she? I bet you Peach was like, "Nah, you can't hang it. You don't have the same recess time."
I don't know if we did have the same recess time. We must. I genuinely don't remember Eastside that much.
Really?
But I do remember one time. So she goes by Haran at school and Peachy. So I remember one time I called her Peachy by accident, and I got in trouble by our parents.
Really?
She was crying.
Why were you? Dang. Well, she's a sensitive. She's a delicate flower, as I like to call it.
Yep.
What's your name?
Let's not get into the fights that me and Peachy have had.
What's your name? Because what I've noticed, definitely from Peach and just like the whole family, is say your name is Mignotae. Your nickname would be basketball. It's just some totally
so
different.
Random.
Yeah. What is your nickname?
I'm just gonna be like, I don't have one.
So you have one, but you're just.
Well, I don't claim it because it came about when I was older, and it's not even mine. It was like my cousin's nickname.
So you guys just pass them on.
I don't have like a Peachy Dee Woodgie. Like those were their like house names that like. I never called Dee Jerusalem unless we were in school, and I never called Peachy Haran unless we were in school. Like since birth, like that's how I knew them. So, I don't have one of those.
You don't.
To that level, no, I don't have one.
So what's the nickname that you inherited?
Oh God. This could be the answer to the last question. Amu. But it's not mine. That's why I refuse to.
Man, that's such a hard word to say. It's just it sounds.
Yeah, it literally sounds. Yeah.
You can be. What did you have allergies that day? You had to say that.
If I had what? Allergies?
That day.
Like, you couldn't
you just all know.
You're like, yeah, you can't say it.
I have my brother. He growing up, he couldn't say my name, and so he would resort to calling me Yaya.
He couldn't say Daniel?
He couldn't say
I guess for a young kid that's kind of
He couldn't say it. But this is like, bro, you can formulate words now. You're still calling me Yaya. So like there's a point in time when we did go to school together and we would see each other. And one time he called me Yaya in front of my friends. I was like, yo. I let him have it that day.
In front of your friends?
Yeah. No, not
after
when we got home. I was like, don't ever call me Yaya in front of my. But I don't know. As a kid, like we were so, especially as a first generation, we tried so hard to like be normal because we kind of knew already that we're just these strange people that our parents spoke different languages.
Yeah.
We had different lunches and and different clothes and Were you able to spend the night at people's houses?
No.
I think that's an African thing too.
That is. Oh my God! It was so embarrassing.
Yeah, it's like I gotta go at 10.
Yeah. I'm dead. Oh my God! I remember my parents would be a little bit nice. They let me stay till midnight.
Yeah.
But like I remember one time, maybe like sixth, seventh grade. By the time my parents like really trusted certain parents, they knew them well, and like they'd be okay, you can spend the night. But it was like literally like once a year.
Yeah.
Like, it was so no. But like Peachy, Dee, like if they're Abishai, it's cool. You can stay whenever.
They were
like,
discriminated.
They did not trust. They're just like no.
Yeah. Would you do the same thing with your kids?
No.
Really?
Like I understand their hesitance.
Yeah.
But no, I don't. Just because like you miss out on so much. Like sleepovers
That's
But
where you
I think it
spill all
also
the
depends on the
beans.
household. You definitely
Yeah.
What?
That's where you spill all the beans in the steak.
Exactly.
Like that's where you learn
Yeah.
like things. Hey, I'm going through this thing with my body. Have you guys ever like experienced? You know?
Yeah. I feel like for sure. No.
What are you gonna say though?
No, I was gonna say, it's interesting to hear the guy's perspective of that. I've never I've always wondered what the conversations were like in a
It was R-rated for sure.
I'm sure.
It was because you know puberty is such a strange thing in people's. I think that's why there's so many like coming of age movies and those are always hit home for people.
Yeah.
Because it's just like your body transforming into this reproductive system.
Exactly.
You know, and it's going through all these changes and that you can't help. And so it's strange, and you have the same mind that you had when you were like 10.
Yeah. But
now you have like now you got to learn this completely new way to function inside yourself. How are you as a teenager?
A tomboy.
Really?
Completely.
Did you play sports?
I played basketball and soccer, but it was like after I stopped at like.
I saw a picture of you recently.
Oh God, where?
Playing. What was it? It was soccer pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't look anything like you do now.
I don't. What? How old was I?
You were young though. You were like super young.
I used to be a lot darker when I lived in California because
of the sun.
Just even the week that I've been here, I've gotten a lot of color. I'm excited.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you're originally, well, not even originally, but you live in DC right now.
Yep, and there's not as much sun out there.
Is it snowing over there? No?
It was when I flew here. I actually was delayed because of the storm. But honestly, like, we haven't had a serious, like, I think we had, like, I would say we haven't even had a snowfall this entire winter. Like, the one that we had, it was like frozen rain type thing in the beginning.
Frozen rain.
Like, so I guess
that sounds painful.
No, but like we've definitely had like sleet a little bit here or there. But this has literally been in the 7 years that I've been there the warmest winter. Like in February we had a 75-degree day, which is unheard of there. Yeah, and like for the most part, like the winter has been like 40 degrees, which like typically that's like.
What is that to you? Just describe.
That's warm.
No.
40 degrees winter?
That's disgusting.
For California.
I want to projectile vomit.
No, like once you adjust to that, it's warm. It's warm.
When you first got out there, it was for college?
Yeah, for college.
How was that? Was it a huge shock?
Completely. I was a baby. If you ask any of my friends on the East Coast who are from the East Coast, they would tell you that it took me like 4 or 5 years to adjust.
Really?
Like, they always knew that I would never dress properly. And none of them, I didn't know they were trying to give me hints. Like in our text threads, if we had plans
they weren't just upfront about it. They were like, you might not want to wear. Yeah,
they'd be like, well, I'm wearing a turtleneck and like this kind of, because we'd be like, oh, like, you know, like, when you're trying to figure out like what kind of, depending on like the event or night or whatever your plans are, you hit up your crew and like, what are you guys wearing to like get the we all live separately, so and they would give me specifics to hint to like wear this level of layers or wear this level of thickness for your coat. And I think it was about 2 years ago that I finally was like, I'm gonna invest in making sure that I have a coat that I like for every like type of day.
That's somewhat fashionable.
Yeah, because like like the really cold days you're gonna have to wear your like down coat, right? And those aren't fashionable. They're ugly.
They're just
and, like,
ugly. What does that look like? Is it
it's like those big puffers. No, a peacoat is fashionable. It's like the puffers.
Really?
Like I've had that puffer since freshman year, and I think I've worn it like 5. Like, now I wear it more because I just don't care anymore. If it's cold, I want to.
When you say like a puffer jacket, I'm thinking like, who had like a, like in the 2000s, those like jackets with no sleeves and stuff.
Just the vest?
Yeah, with like
the puffer vest.
Yeah.
So yeah, imagine that, but like a full coat with a hood and everything.
Do the vests that don't even have the sleeves?
They work.
They work.
Because there's days I understand them, but there's those I don't really wear them, but there's those days in the fall.
what did they keep warm? Like
you're okay. So like the cold at your neck, I always wear a scarf. Your neck is gets really cold, but your torso, like my legs never get cold. I wear the same pants year round.
Really?
But like the your arms do get cold, but your torso and like the fall and stuff, like if your torso is warm, sometimes like you can just wear like a hoodie with a vest, and like I don't like it fashionably, but like for functionality, it makes sense.
You know what I did learn when I went to DC? I don't know if it was the last time.
Sanka, you did. That's what I remember. The snap of you guys landing in the snow.
Oh yeah, because that was the first time I've ever experienced snow ever in life.
Damn, really?
Yeah, I've never like been in it, and two stories just came to mind. First one is what I realized there is like it might have been you that told me, it was like when you say, I think when you got inside busboys or something, and you're like, first thing you do is take off your coat when you get inside.
Learned that from Lauren. She learned it from her dad.
Because like once you get inside, there's usually heat, right?
Yeah,
so like you kind of warm up, but then you don't want to get used to having the coat on inside in the heat, so you gotta take it off, and then put it back on when you're outside. So it's like tricks your brain or something.
Yeah, because like these are things that like when I say these things or when I learn these things and I react, people on the East Coast think I'm dumb because they're like, this is common sense, but it's like we really have not experienced it.
We're in paradise over here in California. We don't.
You're completely.
We get summer year round.
No. My first fall in DC, it was like 45 degrees, and I swear to God, my body was numb. My face was numb. My arm, and because it's also
it
humid.
slaps you in the face.
Yeah, there's moisture in the air there. Like DC's it's built on a swamp, so there's so much moisture. So when it's cold there, like I spent most of my Christmases in Colorado, but like it's dry there. So like 4 degrees in Colorado, it's cold, but it's not bone chilling cold. Yeah.
Like there's something about that DC cold. I think that's the coldest place I've ever been, but it gets in your soul and it just tells you things. People who are from the Northeast consider DC like the South, and they don't think that DC gets a real winter. So like,
really? Yeah, because they get serious winters up north. Yeah.
How can you even live somewhere like that? Like what it's
they're used
it's
to
not
it. They
nice.
like it. They like it, I think.
That's nuts. So the other story that came to mind was on the way to DC. There was that huge storm. Like it was a big one.
Yeah, that actually was. Yeah.
Yeah, and we just caught the tail end of it. So we were on the way. I think we stopped in Philly, and they were trying to like get snow off the runway and stuff. So we were just kind of taxiing or whatever. And I think we stopped for a little bit, and then outside. Because I still look outside the windows at planes, because I'm a child. And I saw, like, it looked like a captain or something. He was just outside with a short sleeve shirt. It's a blizzard out there. And he just chilling, walking casually. It was like 13 degrees or something.
Yeah.
It was.
He's
not well.
He's not well. Well, like. Even when it's like 70, even like this February when we had those like 2 70-degree days, I still dressed. I still had to wear like some sort of overcoat because it was February. Like the people were in dresses and shorts, and I'm like,
you guys are excited for the summer.
Excited. Like
like any kind of sun.
It's like you also know you have to dig out that dress. Like you. Come November, you put away all your summer clothes.
How many spaghetti straps do you have over there? Do girls even still wear spaghetti? Is that still a thing, or what's
spaghetti straps and Chinese slippers, the style of the early 2000s?
I'm still there. That was a huge thing, though. Like elementary
Oh my
school.
God, it really was. But it broke the dress code. You had to put something over.
You had to you couldn't show midriff. You couldn't.
No sandals in high school.
I didn't even know what midriff was. I just, as a kid, you were just like, oh, it's not allowed. It's bad. But you've been in DC since what year?
2010.
And So you went, and then you went to George Washington.
Yeah.
You stayed on campus there, or did you?
2 years on campus, and then I went abroad for a semester. So when I came back, like, I didn't want to be separated from my friends had already, like, the friends who stayed were, they already had their dorms. So the easiest way was, like, we found people who were going abroad, so we just took their spot in a townhouse off Washington Circle. So we lived there for a semester. It was editing myself. It was not well either. It was not. No, it was an amazing townhouse. Got in trouble a lot there, but
for noise or what?
For noise. We lived above someone who just complained a lot. But yep, one of those. And these townhouses are old, so like if you walk they hear everything. So he definitely just like called the cops on us a couple times. Did not like us that much.
What how was when you got there, how was it like the culture? Like how different was it from California for you?
It's like the opposite, honestly. Really? It's very different. But the first year was more of a shock, and like I was learning things and stuff. Mm-hmm. But the one thing that I think is so cool about the East Coast is like you have people from so many different places living in such close proximity.
Like on top of each other.
Yeah, that like it kind of creates like I was recently interviewing somebody and they were like, I can't leave the East Coast because the friction that is created by like so many different people living so close to each other like sparks creativity. And I think for me for so long, like as much as I've missed California and wanting to move back, I fear that the comfort that I have here will like stunt my creativity.
Yeah, to kind of dull it out.
Yeah, exactly. Because like there's always something that I'm like, oh damn, like now I need to like that sparked this thought and that sparked this thought, and like my mind is never at like rest there, right? Yeah. Which is why people talk about like the pace in California is a lot different than the pace in like DC or New York.
Right. I think the most creativity comes from that like discomfort. It just,
for sure.
It brings that kind of urgency. I guess sometimes I don't know if it's the same with you, but like I get the most creative when like when I postpone things and like keep it to like the deadline and stuff.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
And I think that's why it's just you need to like light that fire. Yeah. In a little bit. So that discomfort kind of creates the greatest.
Yeah, it pushes you and like.
Even like you hear like a good song or something. Like some of the best songs are the saddest songs, just because that discomfort. What that person went through. Yeah. So, I guess that. So it inspired your creative outlet, just being and having people on top of each other like that, or that person.
Yeah. Well, I think like for me, like, so like I don't know, like. LA, being next to LA is a transient city. You do have people from different places, but there's kind of this like homogenous California culture, right? That like when you come to it's either people trying to like adapt to that culture or like they're from that culture type thing, and like there's just a vibe that is California, and in that California is a very diverse place, but it's accommodating in the sense of, not accommodating, that's not the word I want to use, but like, oh my God, how can I articulate this? Like, it really is the fact that like, when I moved to DC, like I have roommates and suite mates from like upstate New York, right? Who are moving, who, to them, like they're moving to a big city. Yeah. But they're still within the East Coast. They're still within like seasons and like weather that's normal to them, but like you're forced to intermingle with people who are from so many different states, from different countries, from different cultures, from different backgrounds, and when you have the car, this is the thing, like the car is a very big thing, like
especially I guess like when you have to take the subway everywhere, or the bus in your place or something,
you're forced to being like you know, you spend so much time by yourself in California because it's like you and your car. You
can get like really lonely. We're so independent here.
Yeah.
And over there you're forced to just, you know, come across a vast number of people. Mm-hmm. You know. Before
I drove there, like for 6 years I didn't have a car there, and or for like 5.5 years I didn't have a car there, and in that time period, like any given day, for me to go to work, from my apartment to work, I'm encountering thousands of people just to get, you know, and think about it, like in LA, like if you're going to work, it's you in your car.
It's you in the car.
Till you get to the office, right? Yep. Like that in and of itself sparks it. And like, it's like you're basically hugging the people next to you on the train.
Yeah. Like you're getting what they ate in the morning.
Yeah.
You're getting the type of perfume or cologne they wear, what they're reading.
For sure.
Then you have that one person that just doesn't believe in headphones and stuff.
Yes. More than, yes, for sure. Yeah. The whole train can hear the music.
Yes. Uh-huh. Yeah, when I was there, what I felt, it was, I think I've told you this already, but like something like a Busboys where there's just so much, there's so much culture there. You know what I'm saying? Like over here in SoCal, especially say in the IE, you don't get that kind of culture.
In the Boondocks? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Don't talk about the IE. This is a prime time location.
No, I can't even talk. I'm in Orange County. So.
But even when you go to LA, I guess I mean, there's certain places in the pocket. I think.
You have to find those pockets.
Yeah, sure. Like the other day I was telling me and my friends were talking about it, and it was like places like Leimert Park where you can, you know, get a dose of that kind of culture. Mm-hmm. But other places just like, you know, it's really, I wouldn't even say bland, but it's just like this overarching like. There's nothing specific, you know, for you, or even though there's a ton of different kind of people in LA too. Yeah, and that's why like it's very hard to articulate, but it's like again it goes back to like that kind of like SoCal culture that kind of creates these, in certain pockets you'll find like the high density, like, you know, different immigrant populations, or different, not even immigrant, just like different populations, right? Different demographics, racial demographics, ethnic demographics. That's like that sparked that cultural breakdown of LA or whatever. But there is that overarching culture of like just being in SoCal. Yeah, for sure. So it's a little different in DC. For sure. And so you said your first year was kind of like a shock for you? Yeah, just adjusting. I think, you know, though people like to say that people in California are fake for their friendliness, I think it's a different degree, right? There's like small town friendliness, and there's like southern friendliness and southern hospitality. And I do get what people kind of say when they're talking about LA or Southern California and that level, but like to me, like what I realized was like on the East Coast, it's not necessarily like, or East Coast cities, let me say, like metropolitan cities. It's not necessarily that people aren't friendly. It's just like you have a lot to do. Not even have a lot to do, but it's like I realize in the winter when it's cold, like because I'm like my first couple years, everybody like could tell that I was from California just by like just like, the scent. Yeah, like just like I would like out of town. Yeah, and like I guess the energy that I had and the way that I would like literally stop and talk to so many people. Every security guard on campus I knew. Like and you, the drivers like that as campus. A person too. You're just I think Marty told me about this word the other day. You're just like an empath, I guess, where you kind of just feel everybody and stuff. You know, like you just kind of hone in on what that person is kind of feeling and want to know. I think people are so complex. I think it's really interesting to like get to know them and just that was weird in DC. Yeah, it definitely was. Like people like you know,
I realized it in the winter when I was like, wait a second, it's too cold for me to be sparking these conversations or say hi to people outside.
Yeah.
I just want to get to the first building I see.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the first time that I was like, I'm kind of getting this pace now, right? It's like it's not necessarily that I don't value this, it's just that like, let's be realistic. Mm-hmm. And I have this. And so in a way, sometimes it becomes like, whenever there's a Californian that moves to the East Coast at first and they're kind of dealing with that transition, it's in a way like, even though you may see 1,000, 2,000 people in a day just getting to your job or like that, you're surrounded in like your building. There's so many people living in like this one block that you live in. But in a way, it can get lonely because it is like a very individualistic society.
Over there it is?
Yeah. Oh, okay. In the fact that like there's community, but like I guess when you're a transplant, a lot of times people talk about how like it's just like, I don't know. I think the experience is different for different people, but like my building, I genuinely like. I like making conversation with the people in it and stuff, but I don't know. It's definitely a different vibe for sure.
So for the people that don't know, you are in the process of making this documentary, or what would you want to call it?
It's a transmedia project.
Transmedia.
But like the main thing, is a feature-length documentary
called
What Happened in Chocolate City. Yeah.
And so it's, from what I take it, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Obviously, but it's your experience in DC being a transplant that was like a buzzword for me.
Yeah.
And how it ties in somewhat with gentrification.
For sure.
And you're kind of telling your story and the story of the people that are natives to your to the place that you kind of transplanted to.
Yeah.
Is that right?
That's it's interesting to hear. Like every time that I hear someone else talk about the project, it helps me understand. Like, okay, is that what I'm trying to convey, and what do I need to alter if that's not what I'm trying to convey? Yeah.
So what are you? In your words, what are you trying to convey now?
Yeah, it's evolved a lot. I started writing it in the spring of 2015, so it's been a minute. But it first started literally just from like, I moved to DC in 2010 for school, and coming from Orange County and being one of like the token Black people in the school, I was really excited to move to Chocolate City, and that's literally like about all I knew about DC, aside from it being the capital, was that it was Chocolate City.
Chocolate City. And it's called Chocolate City just because of what used to be a whole bunch of Black people there. Yeah,
so it used to be like there were chocolate cities, like people would look at Detroit, Chicago, Atlanta. There's definitely cities throughout the U.S. that had a high density Black population, but DC itself, it was 70% Black at its peak, or just over 70% Black, and on top of that, it was not only was it just 70% Black, they had a very successful history and a thriving, a thriving art scene, a thriving business scene, law, medicine, everything. They kind of created a self-sufficient society over there. So when I landed, I remember the first thing, I went for orientation, but when I went to move, actually, I remember going to a Costco in PG County, and I'm used to the Costco in Yorba Linda. So the Costco in Yorba Linda, it's like, if you see another Black person, you give them the nod.
Yeah, you
like,
give them that. I was just talking to Peach about that. Like, I hate when I don't get it back. Like, it's like, there's only two of us. There's only two of us here. Do not disrespect me and yourself.
Exactly, no. But I walk into that, and me and my mom just look at each other, and literally everybody was Black.
Yeah.
That was because we were in PG County. I mean, you still see that in the DC Costco. But Foggy Bottom, on the other hand, when I was at GW, it's the neighborhood of GW. It was, our school itself, undergrad, was I think 6% Black, and like 60% white. So definitely, I was not getting the Chocolate City that I had thought I would move to.
You get into college town.
Exactly. And so like I had my fun. I had my 4 years, and the one thing that I really thought, you know, aside from freshman year, I had a class that like it was a service learning course. So you had to, one day a week, you had to volunteer in in an organization somewhere in the city. And we had to write a paper on the opening of a Harris Teeter, which Harris Teeter is a grocery store in DC. In Noma, which Ivy City, but parts now called Noma, north of Massachusetts Ave, and it's kind of like going off of like Soho. So when we, like, that kind of was the first time that I really critically thought about development in a city, because to me, like, my major was international affairs and anthropology. I wasn't focusing on local development at all. But that professor really like challenged us to think critically about the neighborhoods developing around DC. So I was volunteering at a school. Sorry, it's not a school. It used to be a school, and it was part of the Underground Railroad, and they were trying to, for development purposes, they wanted to like, you know, kind of not demolish the building, but rebuild the building for something else, for a different purpose. But because of the historic significance of the building, they kept it. Monument. Yeah, absolutely. And so it housed different nonprofits on different floors. So I was volunteering with a small nonprofit there, and that was kind of the only experience aside from going to Bowie and UMD. For our cousins, like, you know, Helen and Maki and stuff, they lived in Bowie and like went to UMD and Bowie State. So like that was the only thing that really pushed me out and experienced the chocolate city that you experience when you're in PG County and stuff.
So you were in the college town, disconnected from the actual what's actually going on in the whole chocolate city. And so your professor kind of challenged you to get into the local.
Exactly. And that was freshman year, so like it was cool to have that perspective, but from there on, like my focus was international, right? So like I had that perspective, but DC itself, I feel like there's such a large segregation between the transplant experience and the native Washingtonian experience, and I think I completely understand why. Much of the development hasn't benefited the people who were born and raised in DC. So they're very protective of their history, of their story, of what they have left of the city. So for me, after those 4 years, I was like, bye. Like, I'm not moving back to the city. I had spent summer in New York, summer in, you know, like I traveled throughout college, so it just wasn't the place that I thought I would come back to. My friends ended up all getting jobs back in DC, my friends from school. And they challenged me. They were like, you know, you're still applying to jobs, just try out DC. Like, I wasn't even applying to jobs in DC. Like, I had written the city off completely. So I said, you know what, I'll give it a shot. I'll apply to jobs only if I'm really passionate about the organization or the job that I'm working at. Like, I'm not going to move back for just any job. So I came across this organization that I actually, you know, when I saw the title, I was like, whoa, like I learned about this organization in that class.
Is this Life Pieces?
Yep, it's Life Pieces. So when I saw that, okay, this is an arts-based nonprofit, they're working with Black males east of the Anacostia, but it's in a way that's not just like, oh, we're here to help, you know? It's really a way that we're going to analyze the systematic issues that exist within the city, and we're going to see, you know, like from a holistic perspective, how can we create an organization that really serves a community in a way that can have like longevity,
a lasting impression, not just like, here you go, here's all this money and all this infrastructure, like, and then bye.
For sure.
Like they're in the community and working with them actually to make it somewhat better.
Exactly. And I think it was a homegrown curriculum. It was built by two people, one from DC, from that community, and one an individual from New Orleans who had moved to DC for school. And you know, they were able, because of their backgrounds, to really assess what, you know, this is what was missing, and this is what so they kind of had very opposite upbringings. So the person from the community, the individual from the community, was really speaking about like, you know, they didn't have an easy life. They faced a lot of challenges, and they were able to address, like, okay, from a human perspective, let's put race aside, let's put sexual orientation aside, gender aside. From a human perspective, what is necessary for human development?
Right.
Now that we know that, let's bring in all the other social constructs that have to be taken into consideration when looking at these communities, right? And historical occurrences and all of that. So it was an organization that I was like, you know what, this is something that I agree with. I'll move back for this if I get the job. And I ended up getting the job, so I moved back. And within my first 6 months there, not even, like within my first couple of weeks there, they'd given me the history of the neighborhood, and I was like, yo, this is the chocolate city. These are the only areas of DC that are still chocolate city, east of the river. But that juxtaposition of seeing, like, you know, going to happy hours and going to all the new restaurants that are popping up and enjoying that DC, like, transplant life, but then commuting every single day to east of the Anacostia, seeing that
kind of felt like a phony.
Absolutely. Oh my God.
Like,
yeah, for sure.
You're just like, I'm just visiting the zoo at this point.
Yeah, and that's exactly, even to this day with this project, you know, all my friends are like, yo, we're down to help you out, which I appreciate so much, and they have helped out a lot. But I'm very protective about what shoots I'm willing to bring them to, because, you know, a lot of them are like, oh, we want to go to this shoot, we want to go to that shoot, and like, or like even like, you know, that I've met briefly. Like, oh, can you take us to a lot of the places that you're like going to and filming? And it's like it's not a zoo.
It's a weird vibe.
It completely isn't. It's like that's not the purpose of this project either. Like and we were actually very specific with. I was in charge of the development department at the nonprofit, so oftentimes the majority of your donors are, for us, you know, a lot of our donors were Jewish white women. So when for me, the reason why I thought the film would be the best, you know, I knew that I wanted to go into film at a younger age, but working in development, you have to give your 2-minute pitch, right? It's like you're essentially sales for a nonprofit. And every nonprofit needs it. So I understand that it is a definitely an important factor and branch of a nonprofit. But for me, it was problematic with how I can't pitch in 2 minutes why our organization is necessary.
So tough,
exactly. So I felt like a film that critically analyzes not only development, like the project is like a retrospective lens, right? Like how did we get to here from being like this monumental black city that kind of represented success for the black community. And I just don't think that it, you know, it really sparks the question, was this intentional, was it not? And the
thing that what I found was so brilliant when, I mean, just hearing the concept of it is this Chocolate City is in our nation's capital. And so like, there's almost like this thing where our nation kind of neglected the whole chocolate city in itself. And so it was left to fend for itself. And so you're seeing like the repercussions of just that the government turns its back on a city, even though the government is ideally supposed to be here to help us.
For the people,
And so it's I love the irony behind that, and it's so true, you know.
Completely.
So so you wanted to with this film, you wanted to paint that picture, and so you were saying film allows you to do that in a way. It allows you to convey your thoughts on it in a way that's natural for you, you think?
I think, well, to me, I think when I'm long-winded, as you can tell by this interview.
This is good stuff.
Film, I think, allows, because I love writing and I think books are amazing, right? But at the end of the day, you're dealing with a very particular population when you're writing a book. Not everyone's going to pick up a book and read it. On top of that, depending on who your population is, now you're talking about literacy. So if this film is about a community that, when you know, that high school graduation rates are very low, that literacy rates are you know, that people are reading below their grade level,
Right.
how many people are you touching by that? And
Right.
not to say anything bad, books are amazing, but
Yeah.
like I think film, the power with it is it can you can like there's so much beyond just the words that are being
Right.
told or the text on the screen. Like
yeah. You can be moved by a silent film.
Exactly.
It can have the same effect as, you know, Fahrenheit 451. You know.
Yeah. For sure.
I totally get it. So how did you come across finding your voice in that? Like, you said you found you wanted to be in film since you were younger.
Yeah, I think it was about like 15 was when I realized that I wanted to.
How did that revelation come across?
To me, again, like I think I thought about. I love research. I just I like learning things, and particularly more on like the like social science end. But for me, I thought, you know, what's a way to easily, because I think oftentimes the word research is intimidating in and of itself.
It is.
And like, I think that media is the most powerful tool. And how is it being used? If you think about like just the role of media in shaping your perception of individuals, of cultures, of of anything, it's one of like the largest roles.
It is.
So that's really when I was like, well, media can, like specifically film, can be used to simplify, not in a way that takes away from the authenticity or the validity of a topic, but to just to make concepts that sometimes seem so complicated. You know, I think you can use film to really portray it in a way that is universal, and sometimes not all messages are meant to be universal, but I think if we, you know, I always say the U.S. is not natural in the way that it's progressed, right? You have people from so many different backgrounds living, and we don't openly speak about that. You know, we try to. I think obviously now, because of political times, we realize we're not in a post-racial society, and that we never have been. But we're not a country that really has that introspective lens. So I think that being able to bring that out through media and is a powerful tool.
Yeah, I mean, it's like communicating to the masses.
Yeah,
it's
for
it's
sure.
not, especially with, you know, the technology that we have available to us today. It's there's no reason why you can't reach the other side of the globe now. You know what I'm saying? It's interesting times that we're in, because like my grandmother that's in Nigeria is only a text away now. You know?
Yeah.
And but at the same time, you kind of also realize how isolated we are as people too, because even though my grandmother's on the other side of the globe and I can talk to her, I probably talk to her once or twice a month, you know? And that goes with everybody. There's people that are close to me that I rarely talk to. Yeah. But just the fact that communication is so accessible to us is crazy to me.
It really is.
Yeah. So you got in, like your whole family is kind of like an artistic bunch, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I used to think I wasn't creative at all because my brothers, but.
So you finally found your voice. What kind of film like inspired you or inspired you growing up?
I don't even know if it's like that. You know, I think a lot of it's embarrassing because I'm not even like, I don't think that there was like specific movies itself that I was like, whoa, like
just the idea of film.
Yeah, I think the idea of it. Yeah. I definitely dabbled a lot. Like my brothers have their mediums that they're like extremely strong in, right? But I think for me, I like to dabble until I found what worked. Yeah, I feel like I kind of share the same thing as you, because for me, you know, expressing my thoughts has always been like a tricky thing for me, because I'm a very closed off person. So like, Are you?
And so like just trying, but there's a need to. Everybody has a need to want to express themselves at some point. You know, you have to as a human being.
Yeah.
And what's up, man?
What's happening? What's up?
And so you have this need to express yourself.
Yeah.
And so like just growing up, I've always experimented with different things. I think at my youngest, I was rapping terribly, and just trying to find my voice that way, and then ending up finding out it's just not for me.
Yeah.
Then I would go into like poetry and just try to start writing poems, and then I just came to the realization I just had too much to say and stuff, and so like poems are turned into short stories, short stories turn into like scripts, and you just find yourself here making films and stuff.
Yeah.
So was that the kind of path that you took, or when you started writing, how did that come to be?
Yeah.
You just had to just get your thoughts out?
Yeah, I was honestly, it stemmed from discomfort. I talk a lot, and then I found myself in a place where like I didn't feel comfortable talking about this topic with anybody aside from maybe my family, friends, like Peachy and stuff here. Because I was in this position where at work I'm kind of like, having to like prove my blackness, right?
Oh yeah.
It's kind of the topic. You'll hear about that in the first episode. Is like you have to prove yourself before you can earn the trust of the people in that community, because you are an outsider, and I recognize that based off, not only am I first generation American, I'm also, I come from a different state, I come from a different socioeconomic status, and I moved here. DC for me was opportunity. I moved here for school, and then I moved there for school, and I moved there again for work. DC, to a lot of people who haven't been able to succeed as the city has succeeded, they see that opportunity as, the gain that I have, my gain comes at their loss. And it shouldn't have to be that way. But so for me, I was in that position where I had that critical lens. But my friends that I went to school with, I don't want to always be the downer that was like, we're going to this new restaurant, we're going to this new bar. And to me, I see, well, this used to be a food desert. Yeah. And I see, well, this new restaurant is catering specifically for you. Yeah, and I'm the only black person in this whole restaurant, and this is U Street. Like, this is a black street. How am I the only black, So it was kind of guilty, exactly. It was that guilt, and that pushed me to like, I didn't want to do the story. I was telling a friend, I was like, there should be a documentary called What Happened in Chocolate City. It should be about this and this and that, and someone else should do it. Yeah.
You don't want to be that person.
No, I did not.
This transplant, telling this story about people.
But that actually, the more that I talked to Washington, once I decided to, I declared the project, and I was like, I'm doing this. The project has shifted completely from it's the only time that my voice will be in it is the first episode, which speaks about why the story evolved, right? Yeah. And this uncomfortable place.
Came from discomfort again.
Yeah, exactly. But the project itself now, because I've had that 2-year period to write it and reflect and research, I've gone to the point where I'm like, okay, my voice doesn't need to be in the actual film, right? Yeah. I can do an episode that represents the voice of, represents the different narratives of being a black transplant. Am I a gentrifier? Am I not? Yeah. But the project itself, and as you'll see, Washingtonians, again, like as I said, they're very protective. Like I've had to earn the trust to even tell the story.
So like when you got there, did you find yourself having a completely new meaning to what black is, or what it feels like to be black?
For sure. I think, the black monolith has definitely had a negative impact on my identity for a long time. Like, I think growing up always being called an Oreo, from the simple trivial things that aren't necessarily that trivial when you think about it in the identity perspective. I think
such a detriment.
It is.
I hated that growing up.
Because it shows that like the perspective of blackness is so narrow that if we don't fit the preconceived notions of what it means to be black, then our blackness is compromised. Right. And that's such a problematic conversation to have, and problematic rhetoric to reinstill to each generation. So it even, it was interesting to see, like, with a lot of the young boys that we served, they would say, like, they would come, I don't eat meat and I don't eat dairy, so they would come and, like, make fun of my food, and I'm like, no, try it. And, to them, like, just as simple as seeing different foods, right? As simple as, because where I worked was a food desert again. So if it's not something that they're used to seeing, the way that I talked, the fact that I moved from California to go to GW, like, all these things to them was broadening their perspective of what it meant to be black. The fact that I was of African, like, of a first generation American, a black first generation American, changed their perspective on what it meant to be African. They had very limited perspective of Africa. So all of those things, I think, if you think about it, I always gave it, like, my friends a hard time. Like, I have this one friend who, like, would always be like, actually it was Helena that he brought up, because I went to high school with him, and he was like, oh, Helena's such a cute black girl. And I was like, oh, is she a cute black girl, huh? And he was like, what, is that bad to say? And I was like, well, what would you say if he was Indian? So I was like, what would you say if she was Indian? And he said, I'd say she's a cute Indian girl. And I was like, and if she was Asian? Like, she's a cute Asian girl. And I was like, if she's white, she's a cute girl. And I'm like, you're reinstilling this, like, hegemonic image that white is the norm, right? So, like, I think...
And we have to try to work up to live
to that, right? But when you realize that, like, the vast, like, population of blackness and the different types of blackness that there are, you grant whiteness any opportunity. You can be a poor white person, you can be a middle class, upper middle class, rich, there's so many, the spectrum is, never ending for whiteness, right? You can be anything. But when that becomes limited based on your race, that becomes extremely problematic. So I think, for me, this project points to the fact that, DC did have that diversity within the black community. And now when you look at it, people don't see that, right? And then on top of that, it was like, I am a completely different type of black coming into this community.
But you're still black, though.
But I'm still black. It doesn't compromise my blackness. Yeah, for sure.
Jesus.
Sorry.
So what are you caring about today? Now, like, nowadays, what's on your mind most of the time?
I think, just because of the project that I'm in right now, honestly, my focus always was international, right? And then now I kind of am putting aside, not that I don't value international work at all, and not that I don't think that that's important, but I think I've just had a big shift to really, like, being critical about not only development in our own country, but seeing the effect of, this project has kind of been depressing in the sense that, like, when you see. I don't want to, I'm, like, trying to not give too much away, because I do want to leave, I want the audience to be able to make up their own interpretation at the end of the film. But I think for me, seeing the intentionality behind a lot of the actions of developers and the government, it wasn't necessarily a shock for me, but seeing the numbers behind it, right? And seeing the fact
you're doing all the research for it too.
So I think seeing that my focus 100% right now is on that. But I think more is, like, raising awareness within our own community, because I think as we see, as a lot of media is becoming progressive, more progressive than before, and a lot of films are coming out. This year was a great year for black film.
Child Moonlight.
Yeah, for sure. But, like, I think you are starting to see the fact that, I always say, like, it's not necessarily white conservatives that scare me as much as it is white liberals. And I think this film itself, like,
Get Out was...
Oh my God, yeah, completely. Yeah, and I think this film for me is a way to communicate. If I wanted... This film is not only for a black audience, right? And I think it would have been easier for me to write it for a black audience, but I think taking that time to ensure that, like, my friends who are not black, who live in this city, can understand this and learn from this and be critical, it takes a different kind of energy, and it's... For those who watched Get Out, it's like writing from the sunken place constantly, right? So, like, it's definitely been a somewhat depressing way of writing, but I think in the end it'll pay off because
For sure.
I genuinely think that, I don't want to be naive, but I do think that there are a lot of people who want to learn, right? And people who want to understand.
Yeah,
but our education system doesn't provide that critical lens. So we need to use the media to do so, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Even just from just hearing the concept behind it and just hearing these discussions about your project with say Peach and you know the whole crew and all that, it definitely opens my eyes to just the amount of just gentrification in general and stuff. And like the other night we went to this Thai spot in Echo Park, right? And so usually, I mean, in the IE, in the boondocks, you go to a Thai spot and majority of the waitresses or waiters there have like a thick accent. They they're of the culture, and you're trying to order something and like you can't even pronounce like what you want to eat and stuff, and so you end up trying to have to point to like what you're trying to eat. And then they kind of like number whatever, or they just pronounce it for you the right way.
For sure.
We're at this Thai spot in Echo Park, and the lady doesn't even look like she knows how to pronounce the food either. They're just as lost because it's heavily gentrified, and the people that work there aren't from the same culture. So it just kind of opens you up to seeing that, and it makes you more sensitive to it. And I kind of feel like I want to know like the natives, how they feel about it, and so how they're taking this whole thing in, and just
absolutely. Well, I think that what becomes like it's hard because like I give my parents props for allowing me to for supporting me to do a project so critical, because to them I think, and this is where for a lot of people who have come to this country to seek opportunity and to benefit their lives and have been able to do so, it becomes hard to have that critical analysis, right? It becomes hard to, and not to take away from their experience, but for them this country was the opportunity they wanted. For them this country was the freedom that they needed, right? But for us being first generation, we're able to have that critical lens because I am just as American as the
next person,
is the person next to me that was born in the U.S., whether they were first generation or their parents came generations ago from Europe.
From the same soil.
So I think for people who've come here for opportunity, it is harder for them to be critical. But it's that fine line between appreciation and appropriation. It's that fine line between, is this developing? Why is this developing here now? Who is this developing for, right? And I think when I was explaining to my parents, like, having a Thai restaurant with people who don't, to go off your example, like, it's great. You're spreading, in a way, it's like more people are appreciating, the food of Thailand. More people are appreciating the culture, right? But is it done in a way where we are expanding our knowledge and understanding and appreciation for this country and these people and these cultures and subcultures and so on and so forth? Or are we still having problematic images of these countries, yet we're enjoying the luxury of taste of it, right? And I think I gave the example for the longest time, the perception of Ethiopia to like all my high school friends are like
hungry all the time.
Hungry kids
Pot
with
bellies.
Exactly.
Flies.
But stop.
I can keep going. It's the same thing with Nigeria. I just know because I come from that same place.
But you're gonna sit and appreciate the food, and you're gonna sit, or you're gonna want to wear the clothes or the jewelry or the braids or this and that, and it's like it. So that's on an international level. But I think for me, more specifically, just like the African American experience, and I can't speak. I've been perceived as an African American, but I can't speak from that perspective because that's not my story. That's not my experience. But what becomes very frustrating is in DC, to bring it back to DC, is you have these blocks that are historic and these neighborhoods that are historic, and people like the version that's created to cater to them, but they don't want to actually think critically about what's happening to the people who had built this city.
Right.
You know, and that's where I think I don't know, my thoughts are kind of everywhere right now, but that's where I think where I really care about now is bring it. There we go. The question.
There you go.
What I care about now is
circle.
bringing that understanding, you know, and bringing that research and the history and the facts to match. Okay, this is what you appreciate. Well, this isn't what it came from, and this is for you to appreciate it and for you to be able to live comfortably. This is what actually happened.
Yeah, this is a source.
You know, and I think, and that's why when people say, "Is your project a project about gentrification?" I'm like, no, it's actually, it's retrospective. It was inspired by the hyper gentrification that I'm seeing, but it's a story of Chocolate City, how it came to be, and how it came to kind of disappear in a way, unfortunately.
Well, it's a beautiful concept.
Thank you.
You're a beautiful person.
Thank you.
Now for your favorite question.
Oh my God, I don't know.
Tell us something the world does not know about you.
You're gonna have to like pause. You're gonna cut so much out. Are there like examples?
I can give you examples.
Like what? Like yeah.
What's your first routine? What's your routine? What do you put on first? Socks or pants? What's your routine?
Pants.
You put on, you're a pants person?
You put your socks on before pants?
I put on my, absolutely. I don't like feeling the pants rub up my bare foot. What are you talking about? Like, I think you're the weird one for not even wanting to.
I would say socks and shoes are definitely the last thing.
No. Because then you got all that.
Other than winter. If it's in the winter, it's different.
Nah, bro. You out there. I think, all right, then, what's your routine for brushing your teeth?
The first thing I do.
So when you get in the mouth, when you get the...
Oh, what's my routine?
You hit the back, the molars first, you hit the front.
No, I go to the front. So it's the front. Then I go to the right side. And I go to the right top.
And your right.
Yeah, my right top. Then my right bottom. Then middle bottom. Then like bottom left. Top left. And then I go the inside.
You get the whole
like bottom
inside,
first, inside, then top.
How do you know when you're done?
Well, technically my toothbrush is a timer.
What?
But it's actually if I want to use the full 2 minutes that are on the timer.
Do you have an automatic toothbrush or
it's like the Sonicare, yeah. So at times, like the vibration will stop at 2 minutes.
I see why you have to prove your blackness now.
Shouldn't have shared all that detail. But yeah, that's something the world does not know about me. I don't know if that was the answer you wanted.
No, that's perfect.
Shut up. Okay.
Yeah.
That shit?
Yes.
Mignotae kebede.
Say it again. You have to.
Okay.
Mignotae kebede, bitch. Go for it.
Mignotae kebede.
Again.
Bye.
Mignotae, you have to. What? You don't like any of those cuts.
Oh my god.
Keep going. Just keep saying.
How many times? I told you that I don't like being in front of the camera.
This is just like...
And people sit
You
on.
know how you take pictures sometimes in front of a whole bunch of people and you gotta just sit there and smile and
For like
This
a
is
good 5
painful.
minutes.
Okay.
We're all like around.
I know.
say the name.
I'm scared my lipstick's gonna get on me. Okay. Mignotae kebede. More?
More?
One more.
One more.
Okay.
That's perfect. We're saying like, yeah, we're gonna edit that.
Okay.
Boring.
More? Stop! Okay. Oh my god. Okay.
Last one.
BG, walk away.
I'm not looking. Just saying your name.
Okay. Can you guys not look at me, please?
We're studying your facial features.
Okay. God, I can't stop laughing. Okay. This is why I'm being terrible. Okay.
We're not even here. I'm looking at the ball.
Now I feel so dumb. Okay. Oh my god. Okay, I swear I'll take it serious. I think you have enough.
I need one more. Really?
Okay. I can feel the pressure of Daniel watching. Mignotae. Oh my god, that.
Not even the script.
Okay.
I'm gonna like the name.
Okay. Mignotae.
Alright,
Okay, no, stop! They're all watching. It's too much pressure. Okay. Why is this so hard? Okay, I'm just gonna get over it right now.
1, 2, 3.
Mignotae kebede.
Hey!
Whoa!
Ladies and gentlemen.
Done.
Ladies